it's chilly, all right.
And way to heat things up. Let's get some fire going here at Pat Rafter Arena as the athletes come onto the competition floor. And a number of athletes we're looking for. And our final test of the day, test number 2.
As many reps as possible in 3 minutes of 5 ring complexes, 1 toe to ring, 1 muscle up, 1 ring dip, 20 single leg squats, max burpees over the box in remaining time. Complete 3 rounds, resting 1 minute between rounds. The score is total reps of the burpees over the box across the 3 rounds. The males have a 20-pound go ruck and a 30-inch box. Time cap is 11 minutes.
Interval style workout, 3 on, 1 off, 3 on, 1 off, 3 on, go home is the order of play for the next 15 minutes or so. And Jay Crouch is going to be the person to not only watch, but to step forward and take 100 points, because I don't think there's going to be much that's going to stop him. Zane Shellabere-Healy in 2. Sitting in 2nd spot, 96 points for your first test at the Torian Pro ever, and you come 2nd and you beat Jay Crouch. And the lighter guys like Pete Ellis are going to do well on the rings, maybe struggle with the weight later on. Big guys like Jake Douglas will have no issues with that extra loading. The final 11 minutes of day 1, the Torian Pro underway. And John Champion immediately failing the muscle up. But our recipes for success, all thanks to RP Strength.
Unbroken complex, which we're going to see a few of these guys do. Fast burpees and make sure your ruck is tight.
Big thank you to Go Ruck for providing athletes with an implement they can add to their repertoire now of having ticked off. Jay Crouch out of the blocks very quick. And take your mobility to the next level with GoWOD's personalized program. Start your free 14-day trial today by scanning your QR code. Riley Martin with a very loud no rep. Jay Crouch on his last 5 single leg squats. Jake Douglas keeping in touch as well. Bailey Martin and Pete Ellis. Jay will be the first to move. And about 90 seconds for max reps. Jack Clark in lane 8. Keep your eye on him. He's at the far end. Now, front of screen. We're going to have a tight battle here. John Champion still at the back, trying to get through those complexes.
Now, as we saw in the last heat, there was a few guys that were equally as strong on the rings, but the single leg squats was the separator. Andrew Samble just being so much smoother and quicker, not having any issues with his balance.
Jay Crouch moving his box forward, and he's got an interesting way that he steps up on the box. You've got to have both feet on the box at one time, but he steps up with 1 foot only, not 2, steps over, and that will be a Rob Forteism.
It's impressive. I would trip over and fall on my face, personally.
Trying to think about doing that each time is hard enough.
Something tells me he's probably done thousands of reps like that.
But if you're going to minimize the fatigue, distribute it through 1 leg, not 2. It's just like stepping, just like walking over the box. Interesting. Will it pay off? We'll wait and see. number 1 concludes. 2 more intervals to come of 3 minutes. Zane Shelley-Healy got the position he wants to be in. And maybe might find his groove on these complexes in intervals 2 and 3.
Yeah, some athletes have come out of the gate hot on round 1. For others, it's taken a round to find their groove.
Jack Clark, he was impressive in interval number 1. He's down in lane number 8. Those sneaky edges. Athletes can creep down, jump up and surprise you. Jake Douglas, eyes on the prize. He was close last year. Is this going to be the chance for Jake Douglas? Get his first CrossFit Games appearance underway for interval number 2. One guy we haven't spoken about in the last 3 minutes is Will Carney, who's right next to Jay Crouch. About 10 reps back on the burpee box jump overs, but Jay is looking impeccable. That push away from the second ring dip, straight into transition for the next toes to rings.
You can see the dip's absolutely no problem for Jay. He's kip into his ring muscle up. Probably just a little bit more aggressive than what he would normally do if he didn't have the go ruck on.
Let's head down to Kayla Banfield.
I caught up with Andrew Samble just as he was coming off from that last heat, and I asked him how he found that test. And he had a very relieved look on his face, and he said that was so much fun, which is kind of different to what a lot of the women were saying. And I said, you know, what made it fun? And he said, going into that event, he felt so much panic. He said, as he was jumping up onto the rings, he was really concerned about transitioning into the catch. So he wasn't quite sure how the ruck was going to feel on his back. And it made me realize that there were a lot of athletes that weren't able to actually practice with that ruck at home. Pip, you said it, most athletes have a weight vest where that weight is distributed on their front and their back, but they're not used to this ruck. And what he did is a bit of a makeshift ruck is he put his weight vest in a backpack, but of course that doesn't have the front strap, so every time he landed in the rings, he hit himself in the back of the head. So his experience of this test leading up to this was quite negative, so out on the competition floor he was all smiles.
Come in traumatized, the poor guy.
I know, poor bloke. Oh, amazing stuff. Thank you, Kayla. And Andrew Samble, no wonder he was having such a good time out there. And our final minute coming up of interval 2. Pete Ellis leveling up with Jake Crouch and Bailey Martin. Jake Douglas caught up some time on Jay Crouch on the previous complex. And Pete Ellis now could move into the lead. Very close to Jay Crouch, but Jay now moving on with 30 seconds. Bailey Martin pulling level. Jay always aware, just sort of the right of the screen. He's having a look around, seeing what's happening on the floor, seeing where people are at.
Big Jake Douglas seems to be copping the fatigue from that extra weight on those burpee box overs.
Three-horse race in our final heat of the day. Jolita, the Prince of the Pacific, and your incumbent champion from last year, Jake Crouch. Doesn't have to win every test. He's got to beat the right people. Finish top 5 and you will secure your spot. Now that was a good one from Bailey Martin as well. Bailey sitting in 16th, so he needs a bounce back. Zane in 2nd. Now, time to empty the tank in the final 3 minutes of the day. Breaking up the complex. How is this going to go for Jay Crouch this time?
The final in the competition here for Torian Pro, day 1.
So he's just got a no rep. If I can lip read, I believe it's because his feet came up too high over his head in front of him as he kicked.
Now someone like Jay Crouch, he won't get unnerved by that. Just clarifying with his judge on how many reps he's done. Now this is the stage where inexperience can get the better of you. You can let this stuff eat you up, ruins your entire weekend. Jay Crouch will shake this off. He would have had, no doubt, Rob Forte, his coach, no rep him on things that he got good reps for to see how he would react.
That's right. Jay's been out here long enough to know how to do damage control for some no reps.
Pete Ellis needs a bounce back from his 17th. So our almost bookends, Pete Ellis, Bailey Martin. The two guys that need to make a move, as does 12th place Jake Douglas after test 1. Will Carney back in 4th. Will's currently in 8th. I'm reminding you so he doesn't sneak up on us later on.
He's on the bubble, Jeremy. He's not going to sneak. He's on the bubble.
We're going to keep our eyes on Will Carney. Don't you worry about that. Pete Ellis, lane 7, battling with this man on screen, Bailey Martin. Bailey Martin, the first to move. Pete Ellis looks as though he's about 1 or 2 reps behind. But Bailey got the opportunity now to put some distance between him and Jay Crouch as Jay now moves to the box and needs to get a wriggle on. And he's moving a lot faster now. 15 seconds. Jay will pull ahead of Will Carney and Jake Douglas. Looks like Jay is going to finish 3rd here in this heat. But Bailey Martin, talk about bounce backs. Leaderboard shake up on the way.
Bailey Martin needed that finish, but he also needed something to go wrong for one of the other athletes, and unfortunately Jay Crouch copped a no rep in there. Spent a bit of time having to do damage control. Still not a bad finish at all.
He's just explaining to Coach Rob Forte in the crowd exactly what happened with that no rep. Pete Ellis, wow buddy, what a great response. Bailey Martin all smiles as well. Pete knows he's done well, just needs to stay humble, stay focused. 16th place, Bailey Martin has done extremely well. 17th place, Pete Ellis. Jake Douglas has done himself some favours as well, and he'll jump into the top 10. Will Carney sitting in 8th. We'll see how the results pan out. Oh, love all round. I know where that's going. Going straight back to Tamworth. So you think the lessons Jake Douglas learned over the past 12 months, it's probably been immense. He's probably broken down every single minute of last year's Torian Pro.